Hello, and welcome to the first ever third episode. I don't know, it's fun to say. Of No Man's Sky Explorers. I'm Ryan.
I'm Joelle.
And I'm Dylan.
What? He's back! So can we just...
No, don't clap for me. Don't ever do that again. They decided to let me back on the show for another round two.
We'll see if he makes it this time.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder this time. So let's talk about all the exciting things that's happened since last week. Our community is growing rapidly. It was crazy. Like, we posted the episode and we got 95% of our views in the first day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you guys are subscribing. So thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. It's pretty awesome. And we got a lot more activity on the Facebook. We got some messages, some comments, and all kinds of stuff. So we got a lot to talk about today. Oh my God, I'm already. I can barely breathe. So first things first, let's thank a couple very, very important people. First off, Shane Farah. Bro. Trying not to sound like a douche. I'm pretty sure I sound like a douche. Seriously, man, you're awesome. He supported us on Patreon. So thanks, man. You're the first one.
Thank you.
The number one.
You are the number one.
Mm-hmm.
And we love you.
Yeah, but we really appreciate it. That's awesome. Thank you for showing support to us.
Sorry, I'm bad at being serious. Also, thank you to Doc Elliott. What? You guys remember Doc Elliott? Oh, man, guess what he did? He changed his review. Guess what he changed it to?
A 1-star.
Yes. No. I was so scared. I saw the review disappear because I was checking, I'm obsessed with this podcast. I'm sorry. I was checking the iTunes thing, every hour. And all of a sudden it was gone for, 3 hours. I'm like, what the heck happened? And then it was back, and I'm like, oh, I was closing my eyes while looking at it, and there it was, 5 stars.
I was really hoping it'd be a 1-star, just
to shatter
yeah.
Ryan's hopes and dreams.
It would have been so beautiful.
So we'll talk more about that in a minute, because we're going to read the new edit that he put on there, but thank you so much. I will not cry now every night for the rest of my life. Thank you, Joshua, on Facebook, also named Knife Fight Academy on the Reddit. We'll talk more about some messages he sent us, but I actually just wanted to mention he was having problems finding us on Facebook because we found out there was another Facebook page called No Man's Sky Explorers with better punctuation. So everybody was finding that instead. Mm-hmm. So we fixed the punctuation for our page, and it pops up first now when you search for it on Facebook. As far as I'm aware of, I tried it in multiple different browsers and it seemed to do that. So be careful when you're looking for us because there's another page called Us. It was just an older community. I think they're still active, but just so you guys know, there's another one.
On that note, you should probably mention the recent change on our site.
Yes, this is exciting. So Dylan,
the god himself,
the overachiever himself, was like, bro, let me do this for you. And he made us a new logo. The logo we originally had was just the
generic
generic logo you can get off of the No Man's Sky website for free or whatever. But he got us this really, really sexy logo. Seriously, it's amazing. So that's going to be... I updated our feed already. Hopefully that'll update to iTunes soon. That stuff just takes forever to update on iTunes. But it looks amazing. And on top of that, once again, Dylan, you outreach yourself, man. Set everything up on YouTube for us. So we have a YouTube channel now, and we already got a couple subscribers already since we did it today, basically. So... thanks, all you guys, and hopefully that'll just reach a bigger audience because I feel like YouTube's a pretty big place.
Get out to a few more people there looking on YouTube for videos and everything, and hopefully they can bring them over to different parts of social media.
Yeah, and guess how you find that? You search No Man's Sky Explorers on YouTube. Believe it.
I think it's fair to say with those contributions, Dylan can now be considered a regular to our show.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Come on.
Oh, please.
That's a huge audience.
Hold your applause to the end.
So thanks, Dylan. We appreciate it, and he will be officially staying with us on the show. Fortunately, there's no guest segment this time because we're not going to do the same guest segment for Dylan. Hopefully, we have somebody lined up for next week. We're in talks with a couple people, so hopefully we get somebody on. But otherwise, just for this week, we're probably going to skip it. Let's see here. Thank you, Zach and Mr. McLean, for talking to us a lot on Facebook and leaving a lot of good, interesting questions for us to talk about this week. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. So, see, we care. We're reading everything. I'm literally was at work, messaging people when I should have been working. So.
He lays in bed till about 1 a.m. going through everything, refreshing the page every few minutes, just looking.
Pretends like he falls asleep.
The only time I drive an hour and a half to work, so the only time I can't respond is when I'm driving, and that's always when people message, and I'm like, crap. So yeah, I want to keep that response time on the page really low because it looks really good. So I've been like on top of it. So let's see here. Oh yes, so our reviews. Let me grab my iTunes real quick. We got a couple more, and now since we have a lot, we actually have like an average on our show. If you look it up, you can see the average stars now. Let me see what it's at right now. This is probably inaccurate because iTunes takes like 6 years to update anything. Yeah, so we're at 4.5 stars average now. So you can actually see that when you look us up on iTunes, which is awesome. So thank you guys. And we're gonna read reviews now.
Yep, we're on to reviews right now.
Okay, so let me pull these up real quick. So first things first, let's read Wing Ding 123's review.
I like the name.
I loved saying
love that name.
Dylan, you got this?
You got this, man. I got you.
All right,
I believe
all
you.
right, I got this. He says, you guys are doing great. Things will start to gel and be easier once game is released. Stick with it. Oh, my brain. Stick with it. You're on to something good. I would love a PS4 beta weekend. Have your people call their people and make it happen. Keep it up. Let me tell you this right now, Wing Ding.
Our people are currently in contact with their people. We're talking beta weekend status. We're working on it right now. We'll keep you updated.
Well, with our massive PR department, we're on top of it. So I got our daughter working in the other room right now on it.
The one that's 1.5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our only daughter.
I feel like there's some labor laws against that.
I would like to say that Sean has mentioned he's not going to be doing any sort of betas other than like closed, like he's done like with playtesters, but that's like
That's
you know,
with
they're
any
not
game,
allowed
yeah.
to. They're not going to talk about that.
If there was any chance it was possible, Brian already would have flown to Britain and
Yeah.
been down Sean's door to get this.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm sorry, man. Anyway, that was a 4 out of 5 stars. So thank you so much. I would try to fight for your 5-star, but you didn't really complain about anything. So thanks. I mean, 4 stars, I guess, good enough. But we always appreciate a 5-star if you ever change your mind, buddy. But otherwise, we appreciate it. I mean, we're averaging 4.5, and that's where I'd like it the minimum to be. So let's stick with that, I guess. So next we got, believe it or not, Doc Elliott. Oh my God, I love this guy now. He's my best buddy. So he has his original review in here, which we already read last week. And then he has an edit. Says, episode 2 update. Insights well worth 5 stars. Thanks for the response. No, thank you, Doc. He says, questions for episode 3. No Man's Sky versus Star Citizen versus Elite Dangerous. How do you think these titles compare/contrast to one another?
Okay, I'm not even gonna lie. Looking at that from a distance, I saw the Elite Dangerous, and I thought it said Ellen DeGeneres, and I was really confused for a second there. But that makes a little more sense.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Generous.
Sky, right?
Yep.
Dangerous?
Yep.
No. I'm bad at puns. Unlike my dad, he's obsessed with puns. Let's see here. Okay, so I know a decent... Do you know a lot about Star Citizen?
None.
Because I went and tried to do as much research. Doc, you made me do research. You made me really work for this. I did a decent amount of research. I did about an hour of looking up Star Citizen stuff, and I learned a bit about it. And my opinion is not going to be favorable, so I don't know if I want to go into it that much about how I feel about that game.
Why don't you just give us a brief taste on it?
Give us the lowdown.
Well, I can definitely speak about Elite Dangerous because I put about 30 hours into that game.
Those have been the best rage quits I've ever seen out of Ryan.
It was a great game. I like the concept. It's interesting. I like that it doesn't hold your hand, and that's kind of one of the things that's cool about it. I like the scale of things and how it's real life. It just feels a little dead sometimes. There's not much going on, and the learning curve is a little frustrating, but I like it at the same time. So it's not a huge bummer or anything. It just gets boring. I'm just being honest.
It's too realistic almost in a sense.
Yeah, it's just, there's not a lot to do. You can do missions and you can shoot stuff and you can transport cargo and that's the whole game. Which is cool, but it's I don't know, it just gets boring.
It doesn't offer all the fun of No Man's Sky with landing on the planets, exploring.
It has some procedural generation now because you can officially land on some planets now.
Oh, really? They updated that?
Yeah, but they're always barren. So it's there's nothing ever on them.
It's kind of just basically it's like a space sim. You're just looking at it more of a train simulator.
Yeah, it's cool and I understand its audience and honestly there's nothing like it right now because No Man's Sky isn't out yet. Star Citizen isn't out yet. So that's the only thing that people have. So it's good for what it is. So Star Citizen now. I did some research, so I didn't write down any numbers, but I tried my best here for remembering stuff. Star Citizen is at least at $100 million for its Kickstarter.
Jesus.
Whatchamacallit. So its goal was like 5 million.
So
like 3 to 5 million, somewhere in there.
Beat it out a little bit.
And they beat it out just a little bit, and it's like to the point. And you just gotta pull up their Kickstarter page. It's almost ridiculous, like all these goals that they set.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how they're gonna make this game, like, because the goals are just like they never thought they'd hit these stretch goals, and now since I see that they hit them and they have to do them, they're ridiculous. Like, oh, you can have pets now, and like,
what's the idea of the game? Give us like a general summary of it.
Their goal is to be the ultimate like space MMO, basically. You know, like Elite Dangerous, but with more stuff, like landing on planets and like a player economy, kind of like Eve Online, and
so kind of like
super awesome graphics, like way better than anything else that's out there, like especially for space sim. Right. Even though Elite Dangerous looks great. But you can also get out of your ship in space stations. You're not stuck in your ship like in Elite Dangerous. You can take off your helmet. It's all like super, you know, and it's VR, like very VR focused too for some things. Actually, I could be wrong with that, but it seems like it would be. Right.
So it's kind of just like a hybrid between a lot of the space sim games that are kind of coming out more recently.
The biggest thing about it is that this guy who made Wing Commander is the guy who kickstarted it. Oh, and that's why there's like so much hype around it, because he already made an awesome game. And because he got it kickstarted, there's nobody's in the way of him making the game. It's just him and the backers. There's no like Microsoft. There's no Sony. There's nobody.
There's no one.
He's just making the game, and there's no deadline. He's just trying to make it as good as he can. But they've already like said that they were going to like release it in 2015, and then they didn't release it in 2015 because they wanted to add more stuff. And he's like, and there was like an interview with him where he's like, I want to add more features to the game, and in order to get everything I want to at least be making like $1 million or $2 million a month in order to keep all the crew I have right now to keep making the game. I'm like, sweet Jesus.
I mean, if you're banking 100 mil, if your Kickstarter's banking 100 million though,
and it keeps going.
That's insane.
Like I said, he's saying like, oh, a couple million a month, like it's not a big deal. Like he's still getting the Kickstarter's still up. It's been years. Kickstarter is still up. He's still receiving money from it. So it's like, when do you stop receiving? When do you decide to stop receiving money? They've hit all their goals, and the people are still donating it. Oh, and then there's the huge debate of the ships in the game. Like, you can go and buy it. The cheapest is $45 if you want to Kickstarter it, and that'll buy you the game. Okay. And it will give you like a certain spaceship. You can pick out a 2. Okay. For $45. But then you can spend $60 on a better spaceship in the game. Then $100 for a better spaceship in the game, and then $150. Do you want to know what the max amount of money you can spend on that game?
Like $50,000.
$15,000. $15,000 if you want all the ships to start out with.
That's so pay to play, and I hate pay to play.
But the issue, what they say is, they don't come with everything installed in them. You have to still play the game to buy the stuff to install it. But it's still...
You still already have a generalized advantage just because you're able to spend money.
Like, they're trying to swing it like it's not that way, but I really hate that kind of stuff.
In any way, shape, or form, if you are gaining any type of an advantage because you paid more money than another person, I don't like
Especially in an MMO, like, persistent universe that they're trying to make. Like, that would totally ruin it, in my opinion. But, I mean, the thing is, like, last time I saw somebody, like, speak out about this game, and I'm not going to name any names, but there's a YouTube video I watched that I honestly agreed with really well, and it was, like, dislike bar down to the bottom, like, right. And I was like, what? Like, the journalism was a little bad in the video, but, like, altogether, like, it wasn't a terrible video. I thought they made up some good points.
The points themselves were good.
But it seems like there's a lot of people that are really defending this game like it's going to be really good. So we'll see, and it's kind of the same way when people talk crap about No Man's Sky. I get really defensive. So I could understand why people get defensive about a game that they like. So it's not that big of a deal. But comparing the 3 games, I mean, I think Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen have a lot of things in common. But I don't think No Man's Sky has as many things in common. Yeah, it's going for a very different feel.
Yeah, they kind of have their own like little niches. It sounds like they're definitely. I mean, same generalized space sim style game, but there's always quite a few differences, and they're huge differences.
Like if I'm gonna play No Man's Sky and then Star Citizen came out and I saw it and had really good reviews, I'd probably buy Star Citizen 2. You know what I'm saying? Like also, and I'd play them both. Like I wouldn't. Whereas with Elite Dangerous, if I never knew about Elite Dangerous and I bought Star Citizen, I'd probably never buy Elite Dangerous. Because if it had all the same features and more. Yeah. But No Man's Sky is so different that it's like a different experience.
A different idea. Yeah, it's more focused around, different things.
Yeah, so I don't know if all 3 of those are fair to compare with each other, but it's an interesting topic for sure.
No, definitely.
So yeah, I did as much research as I could. I'm sorry if that was like not very educated. I tried my best looking. It's just, I mean, that's like a 3-year development time, and it's hard to make up all that lost time. So I tried my best. All right, let's get to our last review here. This guy said the name of the review is Great. We're great, man. And his name is Yes So. I love it. He says, so good. Oh, I can't wait to hear more. I would like to hear about space stations. My only request would be to maybe do like 30 minutes for episodes 2 times a week, because it's hard to stay for that long. Okay. Okay, that's a tough topic because podcasts are generally an hour.
I do have to agree with you. For my attention span doesn't last more than 30 minutes when it comes to stuff like this. I get where you're coming from. But for me, it's convenience sake, you know. When you have a 1-year-old and you're busy all the time, you know. Unfortunately, this is kind of the best we can do with our time.
Yeah. And it's just a little bit easier to do with I don't know. Typically, most podcasts you're seeing, it's usually around an hour. I mean, granted, last week's episode was upwards of 100 an hour and almost 30 minutes, which does seem quite a bit long.
And the first one was only 45 minutes.
Yeah, so a little bit of varying time there. Yeah.
Kinda.
So we're gonna try to keep it a little closer to an hour, I think, from now on. But
but I don't think we're gonna be able to do the 2.
Yeah. Too much.
Dylan lives far away.
I do. So
it would be too hard.
Yeah, but
So.
I mean, it's definitely a good idea. We wish we could bring you guys more content. That would be wonderful.
So yeah.
But yeah.
We do have more ideas coming up. So you just wait.
Ooh.
We'll do more interesting things soon.
The gears are turning.
We'll be less boring soon, I promise. All right, so we got all the reviews out of late. That was a 4-star out of 5. So thank you. Yes, so what's his name? That's awesome. Thank you. Yes, so, and if there's anything I can do for that 5-star review, you just let me know on Facebook, buddy. I will do it. I will post any picture you want.
This isn't a joke. He will literally do anything.
I'm addicted to this podcast, so yeah, it's sad.
It's not a lie. I think he's more addicted to the podcast than the game itself.
It's fun. I like talking to people.
It's fun.
All right. So now we're actually gonna. Oh, sorry.
Well, we'll move on to questions then.
Okay. So our first, we have Facebook questions, and like some of these came through Messenger, some of these came from like Patreon, all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, did I ever? Let me pull up that. Let me start with the Patreon one. What are you doing, man?
Someone commented on our YouTube video, and I'm just really hyped about it.
He's already checking it. Should we give him a shout out on this show?
Honestly, we're doing it right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bodie Bennett says he's looking forward to the next one! ! Appreciate it, Bodie. Appreciate it.
Wait, let me see.
Well, here it comes, right as you're commenting.
Wow. Bodie?
As literally a minute ago.
That was awesome.
I am on top of things, okay? Ryan's checking it every hour. I'm checking it on the minute basis.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Remind me to check the Patreon message. It's on the computer. I can't pull it up on my phone before we are done with questions. So we can do that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so first we got some information from Zach from Facebook.
With a K.
With a K.
With a K.
Zach with a K and a Z and an A. He says, great second episode. Looking forward to the next! ! That's golden. He says, I'm sold on this game, but I know a few folks who are less than convinced that Hello Games is even capable in delivering such an amount of variety and uniquity?
Uniquely in their own words.
Sure.
Worlds.
In their worlds. What would be your persuasive argument for this game to a cynic? Do you think hopes are higher than what the game can/will accomplish? Well, we're actually going to wait to answer this because guess what, Zach? You won the question of the week! Sorry, I just wanted like balloons to fall down when I said brr.
Is that a new possible segment there, you know?
No, I just wanted him to feel special. So, Zach, we did go through all the questions and we decided that yours would be the main discussion for this week. So, congratulations. Hopefully that makes you feel important.
There's a close call between all the questions.
Yeah, we were actually really close to making Doc Elliott's comparison the discussion for the week, but we decided there just wasn't enough to do with that. So,
yeah. This gives us a little bit more to talk about, and it's definitely a really interesting question.
Right. So we're going to come back to you for the main discussion, so you just wait, buddy. Do you want to do the next one? Actually, you know what? I have a personal relationship with Joshua.
Well, give your good old buddy Joshua give him the good old read.
So my buddy Joshua, Knife Fight Academy, was talking to me on the Reddit before he showed up on the Facebook, and he was the one who was having problems finding me. So we're buddies now, best friends forever. So he says, "Hey guys, great work on the podcast. Some questions for the next episode." Also, he mentioned in a message that we actually answered some of his questions on the second episode on accident. So.
Sorry about that.
He actually posted us questions. He was the first one too, but he posted them to the wrong page. That's why we didn't get them. So I'm sorry. He says, "What do you think happens if you travel away from the center?" Do you want to start with that first?
Yeah, that's a good question. I read that one, and I was actually really interested in it because it didn't even cross my mind. Because, you start, and the general idea is to go towards the center of the universe. So that's a really good question that I don't think has ever been asked on, like, an official level.
Right. I've never seen Sean Murray, like, answer the question.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think, Don?
I don't know. I'm... Because, okay, you start on the quote-unquote edge of the galaxy, right? So but if we're talking about a galaxy, a universe with 18 quintillion planets, you're probably starting, a couple 100,000 light year. There's probably a range.
Yeah, you're probably not right at the edge.
Yeah, exactly. You're not at the furthest planet you possibly can. You're not at the furthest planet you possibly can be in the in the universe or in the galaxy. So I feel like there's going to be more planets you can go out towards, but you're going to hit a point where the galaxy is probably going to start. I don't know. I feel like it's going to end, but maybe you could just skip the end game completely, hop on to another galaxy.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting topic because you'd think that if you hit the edge of the galaxy, there would just be darkness out there. Maybe you'd be able to see other galaxies, but the distance between galaxies is stupid.
It's
so I don't think anybody would ever be able to actually technically get to another galaxy, especially within their lifespan.
Exactly. Well, I guess you could kind of look at it in the way too of when you're starting on the edge of the galaxy, you don't really have the tech to even jump that far. So
possibly, yeah.
You got to be. It could be.
You'd have to just drive at regular speed.
Good old, 3 billion years later. Yeah. Halfway there, maybe.
So, it's interesting. I wonder if there'll be any mechanic regarding that. Like, there'll be maybe a slight reward for doing it, or maybe Sean Murray's face will just pop up saying you're an idiot if you tried it. So, I don't know.
You're leaving the mission zone. Go back.
He said that. Okay, you know what? He was asked this before.
Okay.
I remember now. I think it was on the Game Informer podcast. I'm totally guessing, but I remember he was asked because he's like... somebody was asking him about boundaries, and he's like, "Would you prefer to say you're leaving the mission area?" He's like, "No, there's no boundaries. You can do whatever you want." I think that was actually, it wasn't about the galaxy. It was about leaving a solar system. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "No, it will never tell you to that you're leaving an area or anything like that." So, that's interesting. I like that. I don't know. Does anybody else have anything on that?
Well, it's roughly around what I thought would happen. Just kind of go into darkness and.
Good talk.
All right, on to question 2 from Joshua. Want to read it, Ryan?
Sure. He says, "What are your thoughts on a permadeath or free roam option?"
Terrible idea.
Nope. 1 out of 5 stars.
Nope.
Worst question ever.
Terrible game. 5 out of 7.
So, okay, permadeath is something that I'm very interested in. I generally enjoy the challenge.
No,
I'm weird like that.
I'm interested as well.
So it'd be interesting if you had an option when you started your game if you wanted to activate permadeath. So obviously, if nobody knows what permadeath means, it means that if you die once, your save is deleted and you gotta start all over. Mm-hmm. Like, no questions, no respawning, nothing.
Kind of a good reference point is like hardcore mode in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Kind of give that as a generalized idea.
So it's tricky because obviously I would have to have a separate save for this, and even to try it.
Can you even have multiple saves?
That's a good question.
Another question.
I have no idea. That's something I've been worrying about too. Because you think on the PS4, if you just switch your profile, it would obviously start a new save. So there's a way to manage your saves. I don't know. Or you just, I don't know. Hopefully they'd be save slots.
Who knows?
That'd be nice. But yeah, permadeath is interesting. No Man's Sky is one of those games I don't know if it would really... It'd be fun to be really careful and to take it in a realistic way. Like you'd be really careful when you're doing things, and you'd try not to start fights. You'd avoid sentinels. So, I could imagine a small community really rallying behind that and sharing their journey. Do you have something?
I was gonna say, but with permadeath, what if you lose everything you explored? Are you factoring that into it? Everything you discovered, every name you made, it's just gone. Every mark you made is
Maybe
like,
people can still find it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So does it reset? Yeah, going
That
back
could
to
be
that.
another
Yeah,
option
exactly.
of it.
Because I mean, if you die right now and you haven't saved or uploaded to the Atlas, you have to rediscover all those things, or you lose all your discoveries.
Well, assuming
and all the
saving
money.
would still work, even on permadeath.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, just in the sense of, rather than just being a quick, over the past 2 hours, what you've found has now reset and gone back to normal, and you haven't discovered them.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen over the course of if you have 300 hours on the game?
Right.
Unbelievable amount of discoveries, planets, solar system,
Maybe
creatures, and just would it reset at all, or
maybe
would it all
10
be
years
there?
later somebody will find your stuff, and it'll say in loving memory of this person who died.
Yeah, he sucked. He died.
Well, I tend to think that permadeath is for the slightly masochistic.
That's me.
I like the option of free roam. I
Yes,
think
yes.
that I like the more creative standpoint on that.
Oh,
of,
yeah, that's actually another one of his questions
yes, that's
here.
the other part of the question.
Yeah, he says, what are your thoughts
that'd
on
be
a
much more
permadeath or free
interesting.
roam option? Free roam is interesting. Yeah, you're always the one who plays on creative on Minecraft like a noob.
And then still make square 7x7 houses.
Hey, that's the way to go, though.
It would be cool because actually I would like to talk about, I know this isn't technically No Man's Sky, but we talk about a little bit of everything on here. I downloaded a game called Space Engine, and I recommend people take a look at this if you have that itch that just needs to be scratched right now before No Man's Sky comes out. You guys should have seen the thing I was just doing with my hand. It was awesome. Too bad you can't. God. Anyway, you can download it. It's freeware, so you can download it for free. They accept donations if you want to give it to them. It's this procedurally generated universe type thing, and you can actually download our solar system in it. And it is just fascinating. And speaking of free roam, it would be a lot like this. You can just move your camera wherever you want. You can turn into a ship and land on places. But there's no real gameplay other than just exploring and trying to find interesting planets, interesting suns, interesting types of star systems, and then you can actually completely pull out of the galaxy and go at super light speed, super light speed, and you can see all the other galaxies, and you can pull into any galaxy you want, zoom in on anywhere you want.
What is it?
It's so cool.
You saw a red giant today when you zoomed in on one area, and you had some
Right.
trouble figuring out what you were seeing, and that was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, and I found these clusters of stars that are together, and when you got really close, it was just amazing. You could land on a planet and then look at what it looks like from the planet, and it was amazing.
Graphics aren't, totally wonderful,
There
but
might be an update for better textures and stuff
it's
like
still
that.
really cool for what
But
it is.
it is
just
amazing.
Yeah.
the sheer quantity that they've put into that is neat.
And I'm going to show Dylan when we're done with this podcast, because it is cool.
Oh, baby.
But that's something that would be cool with No Man's Sky. Was what I'm saying is a free roam option like that, where you could just zoom
Just
around.
spectator, basically.
Yeah, I mean they
you know.
kind of have that with the galactic map because you can freely spectate in the galactic
But
map.
perhaps zoom in more,
Right.
See,
see a really neat planet you want to go visit at some point.
Right.
Be like, I want my course to go here.
no, I'm gonna devil's advocate this and say that's
Oh, no.
that's completely pulling away from the entire point of the game.
Oh damn!
Because I guess if you're able to just fly around everywhere and explore and see as many things as you want to see, you've seen all these things, you've quote unquote discovered them. I mean, you can't really slap your name on it, anything really,
Right.
or anything like that. But I mean, you're able to just freely go around and do all these things, and then jump to the center of the galaxy and instantly know what's going on and everything. I feel like it completely just pulls away from the entire point of the game.
You have a really good
I
point.
was gonna say, I think that's spot on. Well, free roam would be really cool.
It would be so cool.
It would
but I
defeat the
feel-
point of the game.
Exactly.
Maybe a hybrid, like a free roam option for places you've been to.
I like
Potentially,
that.
that would be cool. Yeah,
That would
like
be kind
that.
of cool. So
Go
you
back
could-
and visit
Yeah,
and
almost
just
like
kinda
an
look at
instant
things you've
replay of
seen.
everything
That's
you've
good,
seen. Yeah, or you could
That'd
you've been to this solar system and you've just everything you've technically discovered, like the planet you've actually landed on. You're allowed to zoom in on and look around on and stuff like that.
that would be neat.
I mean, you could even take it to the extent of you can only visit the areas you've walked around in a certain mile radius and everything as
It
well.
would depend, but yeah, that's or let's say you finished the objective for that solar system, then you'd unlock free roam in that solar system, and
I
you
like
could
that.
and then you could look around
Yeah.
that solar system.
That's
freely
actually pretty cool.
and
That's-
observe
that's
the
an
area.
interesting idea.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be
definitely
a
an
nice reward.
But
for
just
doing something like that.
basically a pulled out, essentially. I think it'd be nice if it was maybe an offline mode type idea, essentially, where you can access this basically and not the mass multiplayer, quote unquote.
It would be really good for taking pictures.
It would.
If you could freely fly and stuff without worrying about your ship.
Exactly.
All right. Well, to push this along here, we do have one more question from Joshua, or Knife Fight Academy.
Oh yeah, he says, Kool-Aid Man over here. He says, do you think we will ever get to see ourselves? So, let's talk about what Sean has said about this. And now Dylan brought up an interesting thing because we were going over these questions earlier, and he says, "Oh, well, you just go up to some water, look at yourself in the reflection."
See, that's what I feel like. I mean, just generalized. I know that's kind of just a generalized point, but I feel like I'd have to go back and rewatch videos because I haven't paid too much attention to it. But I know there are points in which there are animals and trees and everything that are, you can see the water, and then I don't know if there's a reflection or not. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not there is a physical reflection, and if you could actually see yourself.
Well, I also think to the buildings we saw on the one snowy planet, did any of those have reflections in their windows, perchance? Because...
Are
maybe
there
just
mirrors?
Maybe just lens flare or something. I don't know. But, Sean has said in an interview a long time ago, and he may have mentioned this recently too, that the only time you're ever going to see yourself is if you meet another person and you can see through their eyes, or you can see what they look like. And we don't even know if we're all going to look the same or anything like that, so that's up for debate. I mean, who freaking knows?
I mean, it'll be interesting to kind of, I don't know. I mean, granted, I feel like a lot of stuff that was quote-unquote canon from, like a year, even to 2 years ago.
Could be completely false
because we were straight up 100% told there would be 0 NPCs in the game, and now there's going to be NPCs all over the place.
Now I know that he has secrets, and I know he's a liar, so I'll be watching out.
I feel like the entire game is a lie, and there's not a game coming out. It's completely.
I'm waiting to get to the center, and just Sean Murray's giant face is the center.
So, honey, what are you gonna get for your $60 pre-order then? If there's no game,
I don't know.
Like a box full of rocks.
A box full of your own tears.
Is he gonna preload a box of rocks onto my PS4?
Maybe Sean could write you a letter in that box saying, "Sorry, we tried. Love you."
You stupid.
Day one patch just deletes it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm hoping you get to see yourself because it'd be really interesting because we don't really know if we're an alien race, if we're some weird offset of a sentinel, some robotic thing, if we're human, if we're like a humanoid type being, if we're one of the race, the one race we've seen, you really don't know. But maybe that'll be introduced in the lore as well. Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to McLean.
Right.
For the next question. What, are you confused?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
Good old Mr.
referencing
McLean.
our schedule.
You know what? And he was messaging stuff on Facebook. That's where we got and I looked at his thing and I'm like, oh my god, his last name is really McLean. That is awesome. I bet you just never mind. I don't know why that's so awesome, but it's just a cool last name.
That's a pretty cool last name.
I have such a lame last name.
I really hope he does something
lame.
that's cleaning related, like he owns some sort of cleaning business.
That would be pretty bold.
That would be awesome.
All right, from McLean, he says, "Hi guys, this is the guy who left your review." Oh, we know. First 5-star review, also. Thank you. He says, "Glad I could be the first post here as well. I have a few questions to ask. First, do you think your playable character may not belong to a specific race?" Now, before we answer, he has more on this topic. He says, "I find it odd that we have clues about the other races in the game, and each seem to be doing their own living in a very different way than what the player does. Personally, I believe that if you uncover the lore behind your character, you'll find that you may be a construct, such as the Sentinels, but rather than protecting the galaxy, you are meant to discover all of its knowledge." So let's start with that.
I love it.
That is a cool theory.
That is just deep and mind-blowing to me.
And maybe we're just programmed, possibly, to do what we're doing.
I feel like that fits so well. I like it.
What if they completely break the fourth wall, and they're like, you, in real life, are controlling a robot in a different galaxy?
I feel like too many people will get confused by that.
Does that blow your mind? Dylan's drooling.
Oh my.
Isn't that a cool idea? Games haven't done that in a long time, so it'd be like Metal Gear Solid style. So I'm going to use my telepathy on your controller, put it on the table real quick, and he vibrates the controller. I love that part.
No, I don't know, man. That'd be interesting. That's definitely a really cool. I like the idea of the theory, but I also like the idea of the possible, I don't know, the fourth wall break. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, it makes me excited again to see what our last question was can we see our characters? What if we find out that we look a lot different than what we thought? Mm-hmm. And we're just because I mean, why are we this third party? If you think about it, there's these 3 main races, mm-hmm. and they're talking to us almost like they've never seen us before. Mm-hmm. And then there's the question of, I bet you there's a lore reason why we're all starting on the outside of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are we all starting on the outside of the galaxy?
It's definitely interesting. And like, are we all the same? Like, are we all the same type of being? Like, are we all the same race? Are we all Sentinels? Like McLean was saying before. Like, I don't know. It's
because I mean, Sean has stated that everything they've like figured out all the lore pretty much.
Yeah.
And so there's like a reason for everything, and by the time the game comes out, he says that it'll all be figured out. So I'm interested why.
So by the time the game comes out, everything will be known, or like
the lore. The developer will understand all the lore, not us. We can discover it.
Will we ever understand that?
Who knows? Who knows? But like that is a cool idea, and that's like I keep coming back to that. Why is everyone on the outside, and what are we doing there, and why are we going towards the center? Why do we feel like we need to go towards the center?
Mm-hmm.
And Sean also stated that the intro of the game is going to be like trippy and weird, so I feel like that's going to give us maybe the reason why we need to go to the center. It might not be a clear reason, but maybe like some weird, obscure, like longing or something that we need to get there.
See, I think it'd be kind of interesting to see if, kind of look at it like this, and I know this is a really far-fetched theory, but basically, say like the start of the game, like you were saying, it's kind of starts out trippy. Something weird happens. Okay, so say you're just a regular person, like a human being, walking around on Earth, and then just all of a sudden something super random happens. Wormhole, I don't know, something happens, and you get sucked in, crazy stuff happens, and then you're just dropped on a planet.
With nothing.
With nothing.
Except a spacesuit.
That's
Do
lucky.
you even, maybe, like, yeah, who knows? Who knows?
There's so many like cool things that could be the reason why we're in this galaxy, you know? Like I'm excited to really dig through it's going to be fun when the game comes out and we can come back on the podcast and all three of us separately will talk about our experiences and we can start to collect information, and then the community can send us stuff on Facebook about things that they saw, and I feel like we'll be able to put the pieces together really quick.
Because honestly, I really don't think a lot of the this is not going to be like a day one like Snape kills Dumbledore. Like you instantly know like what the be all end all is. It's been years.
I know.
It's still a fresh wound there.
I feel like it's going to be. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be like this is going to take, if not a year, to kind of develop a lot of the ideas and the lore. Because I know we were talking about. We can get into a little more into the lore stuff later, I suppose.
You're right. We have more information on that later. Oh, teaser. All right, I'm going to go into McLean's second part of his post here. He says, personally, I believe that if you uncover the lore behind your character, you'll find... Oh, wait. Did I already read that?
Second question is more your podcast related. Was just wondering if you had any plans on making your podcast into a mini community with maybe a Discord so people that listen can talk with each other and with you guys. I follow another podcast that does this, and the idea seems cool to me.
All right, so... I've been thinking about this for a while because he posted it pretty much right after the second episode on Facebook, and there are a couple things I'd like to do. Like eventually I'd like to start getting like calls maybe into the show, and we could answer a call at a time. Like there'll be a separate segment for that, and maybe for like 15 minutes we can like answer calls like on Skype or something. That'd be cool. I don't know if Discord's the right way to go. I don't feel like this is the right type of podcast to fit that in with.
I agree.
I think it's a super cool idea. But I just don't feel like it would make enough sense for the way we structure the podcast. But that's what's led me to some other ideas, like the one. What was I just talking about before that?
The calling in, kind of the more. I think what we kind of want to go for is rather than just a random talk channel between anybody,
right.
Or I guess we could select who we wanted, but rather than just a huge compiling of a bunch of random people talking.
It'd be a bit chaotic.
Yeah, exactly. We would want a little more of a selected who we're going to take calls from, who we're going to talk to, who we're going to take questions from, things along those lines.
Yeah, we're working on some new features. We're going to start posting some more, some actual like legitimate Patreon goals, because we don't have any goals yet, only rewards. So I want to start setting up some goals for like video podcasts for YouTube, and then eventually like having a caller segment. So it's just going to depend. I haven't quite figured out all the details, but hopefully by next week we got it all figured out. So just ideas that we've been having.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
a lot of good ideas.
Thanks for the ideas. We're really thinking about that kind of stuff right now. So as the community grows, we've been growing so fast I can barely keep up with it. So which is awesome. I just want to get a little bigger so we can get more consistent questions every week, and then I think we'll be like perfect size, so we can constantly have the community talking to us. So We're getting there. We're really close. So, we ready to move on?
All right. So next we're going to move on to the news of the week. Everything that's
Are you
come
ready
out
for the
about
cool?
No Man's Sky.
Are you ready for the cool transition?
I am ready for the cool transition.
Okay, you ready? That was not a computer. Do you believe it? All right, let's go to the news.
Who would have thought?
Sorry, I'm tired. It's late. I don't know why we keep doing this so late.
You need help.
Dylan just
you
stared
need
at me.
you need help. Anyways,
Yeah.
Okay.
news. So, do we want to talk about the interview with Sean or the lore video first?
Well, since you guys all suck and you can't handle a 1-hour interview, let's talk about the interview first.
Well, I had it
All
playing
right.
in the background. It's just I was
Slacker.
doing other things.
I watched the whole thing twice.
Wow, you want a gold medal or something?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Okay, well, I don't have one for you. I apologize.
I'll just be honest. My attention span doesn't hold that long.
You are
There you
a
go.
failure of a wife, but I still love you.
Thank you, dear.
You're a failure of a husband.
Anyway, I love you all, of course.
Now we're getting into the real talk right now.
The workplace
the
drama.
real workplace drama.
The therapy that is
Oh.
needed to keep this marriage together.
Actually, this is not even a No Man's Sky podcast. I am a therapist, and this is family counseling right now. This is marriage counseling.
This is the only way Ryan can communicate because he's so involved with No Man's Sky.
I can't express my feelings.
This is the only way we can pull him away. This is an intervention. Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
so we're on a tangent.
I'm making the executive decision. We're talking about the interview with Sean first.
So there's a lot of things I'm going to forget to talk about regarding this interview because it was long. So I'm trying to remember as much as I can. A couple of interesting things. They go through like the whole develop. Like they basically go through Sean's life. The poor guy. But they go through like like things he looked up to when he was a kid. Like he really liked Quake and other games like that. It was kind of funny because he was saying that he doesn't have these like cool niche like indie titles that he loves like most people do. He's just like, no, I like the popular stuff like Mario 64 and Quake and stuff like that. So it was interesting just to see where he got his inspiration from. He's not some like crazy person like I am. All my indie titles. But yeah, and then he goes into like the company and he goes into the kind of like. I love when he talks about this, the E3, not the E3. I said 2014 on accident last year, but it was last week. It's actually 2013 VGX is when they first announced the game, and he was talking about being in the room. Nice going, hitting your mic there.
Sorry.
He was talking about being in the room behind the stage and like getting ready to like present the game on stage. And all the developers are like sitting in the room and they're watching like the stage performance and a little TV in there or whatever. And he goes out to do it, and it's getting really good reception. And he like comes back in because and his team's waiting for him in there. And he's like I had this like movie moment where everyone's like cheering for me and like the developers are, like high fiving me like good job man, like all these really famous people.
Right, yeah.
And then he goes to his team and they're like hugging and jumping and stuff.
The very
Aww.
stereotypical like. That's actually pretty cool though.
Yeah, but like it was
deserve
really
it.
stressful for them because they really didn't want to announce anything because they didn't feel like the game was far enough along to announce anything. But this rep from Sony like convinced them that they should announce it.
Good that they did.
Good that they did because they would have most likely canceled the game, believe it or not, because
Which is kind of sad actually.
because their place flooded like a week or two later, Christmas Eve.
Wow.
And so they lost like a tons of data and stuff. And if they said basically if we didn't have such a good reception, we wouldn't have worked so hard to bring it back. So if we had not announced, they would have just most likely canceled it because they lost most of their data. So because the huge like awesome reception they have in like the community like offered support, they didn't accept any money or anything, but a lot of people like offered the money to like help like rebuild everything, but they decided to do it on their own. They even mentioned that Sony offered them money to like rebuild everything, and they're like, no, we got this. And so they rebuilt everything, and they pretty much almost entirely started from scratch on the game. And oh man, I couldn't imagine like starting from scratch on this.
Yeah, no. That's,
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously they still had like a decent amount of stuff, but they did lose quite a bit of data. And wow, that is so freaky how close it was to being.
Yeah, it's always those like the what ifs. Like what if the one guy just wouldn't have convinced them,
Like if
you
it
know?
wasn't for Sony, like convincing them to do it, it probably wouldn't exist, which is insane. And then Sean was talking about some things, E3 2015, and how like Yeah. Kanye West.
Come on, man. How can you? Okay, honestly, okay. If we're looking at it, and you're like, you're a game designer, you're building a space game, and you have the option to talk to Steven Spielberg and God, I forgot
Elon Musk.
Yeah, thank you, Elon Musk, and an absolute genius, phenomenal scientist. And like you have that option. It's like, yeah, okay, you're gonna go talk to them. This is like what you're doing. That's okay. But come on, man. It's. I mean, that's a hard decision. You're talking some of the greatest minds of our time, and then one of the greatest artists of our time.
Oh God!
It's like, come on, man. All right, unpopular decision coming in from the Dylan side of the table. Getting laughed at here. Don't appreciate it. You people have zero taste in music, and
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to stop talking now because I feel really belittled right now.
Are you triggered, Dylan?
I'm a little triggered. I'm a little fanny flustered. I'm a little booty bothered.
We still love you and respect your opinions.
Yes, we respect as we respect our community's opinions.
Yes.
If you like Kanye, go on Facebook. Tell us how much you love Kanye. But don't do that, please.
Yes, please don't.
Somebody back me up on this. Come on. I need something. I need something.
Oh man. So anyway, Sean had a good long discussion with Elon Musk. It was interesting him just talking about how completely normal it was. He's like, yeah, we just we talked about some stuff. He talked to us about what if this is 2014 E3? He said that like they had not announced like self-driving cars yet. And Elon's like, yeah, man, I'm about to announce self-driving cars. It's gonna be so cool.
You're just super casual about
yeah,
like.
And then Sean's like, we probably shouldn't talk about this outside of this room, should we? And he's like, yeah, he was just telling us all these projects he was working on and how excited he was. And that must have been a cool talk. Sean was mentioning that like Elon is the type of person that when you talk to him, you can tell that even though he's talking to you, you can tell his brain is working like nonstop, like he's thinking of other things and still like being able to completely comprehend what he's like saying and talking to you about and stuff. So that must have been pretty intimidating.
Oh, the Kanye jokes I want to make now.
I'm just imagining Sean's like cringy face right now, like how awkward he must have felt. He's always like awkward.
He's so adorable.
He's gotten so much better though.
Yeah, he has,
which
is good. I don't know. I think he's like this. The game itself has given him so many new opportunities, just as a person. Like, and then it's actually no, like honestly, it's like seeing his beard grow. You've seen him grow as a person. Like, and I'm not even kidding, man.
You are so right.
It's okay. It's a little bit of a joke there, but at the same time, not like. I don't know.
It's funny because he says, I forgot what you said. Never mind.
He's come a very long way.
Yeah, from just kind of being like super awkward, super stage fright, super like I don't know if people are gonna like my game. I'm so scared.
Right. He was saying
he's confident in his product.
He's actually now getting very confident in his product.
And he was saying that this game had like out of like his life was so normal, and this game has brought him so many different opportunities that he's just like, every day I think that I've had like a really cool thing happen to me, and then the next day something interesting and like more interesting happens, and I can't like my life is like a roller coaster. So yeah, it must be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, this podcast is the closest thing I'm ever gonna get to a roller coaster. So, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah,
you do need help.
I do.
Wait, are we referring there to the fact that you're scared of roller coasters?
No, let's not talk about that. Anyway, Steven Spielberg also wanted to talk to Sean Murray, so they had a conversation. And I guess he has his hand in a project about, like, I don't know if it has to do with a video. I think like the movie he's working on has to do with an infinite video game.
That's interesting.
And he's just like, hey, you're making it, so let's talk about it.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Getting ideas from the basically creator
the guy
of
who's
the
making
game.
it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not the exact same game, but
That's
because
cool.
I think he's like making a movie about a game like that.
That's pretty cool.
That's interesting. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the biggest takeaways from the interview, unless you guys noticed anything.
As far as I'm aware, we didn't really listen more than like 10, 15 minutes.
I think that was one of the bigger parts. There was a lot of other things, but it wasn't the most like brand new, like specific No Man's Sky news like about the game.
It wasn't really anything announced or anything.
It was for
just
those
more
who are
about,
in
like,
love with Sean
Exactly.
instead of No Man's Sky.
I do love him.
This is true.
All right, moving on to the next new bit of news was the lore video that came out.
Yes.
Which is hype as heck.
You young nerd over here talking like you're a young kid.
Yo,
Anyway,
I got the hip lingo though.
So yeah, there's this lore video. It's 6 minutes, about the same thing as like art video. And now the freaking IGN month of coverage is over, and they didn't even do half the videos, and I'm annoyed. Okay. I know that it's like we should just be happy that they gave us that.
Just be happy with what they gave
He always needs more.
I just give me more. I don't know why they even.
Anyways,
I'm irritated.
In the lore video, no, I found it to be super interesting because I know this is kind of a lot of people have made this kind of connection and this kind of idea of that the lore in this game is going to be very similar to how kind of Dark Souls that kind of universe's lore is. How it's nothing is ever directly given to you, like you are Link, you are saving Princess Zelda, you are Mario, you are saving Princess Peach. Like very like straight linear gameplay, like this is the storyline, this is what's happening. It's going to be very community based, and just essentially everything is basically pieced together by the community, and kind of like
the whole reason I started the podcast. You guys can do all the research for me.
Yeah, just do all the work for us. That's how it works. No, but just basically putting all the information together and being more of a community agreed upon lore, which I think is going to be really cool.
Yeah, they didn't announce anything new. Like, I didn't see anything like major like in that video for new stuff. We just got to see a couple famous people who are working on the comic book that comes with the I think the Explorers edition.
I believe so. Yep.
I didn't get that, so hopefully, and it's not because I didn't want it. It's just because I have a baby and we need money for other things. And I was just trying to prioritize. But yeah, I'm hoping some people will shine some light on that when the game comes out on the Facebook page, so we can learn a little bit more about it. Tell us if it's any good.
I mean, honestly, that comic's going to be out on the internet day one. So unfortunately, like I don't want to. We can't deny it. Like it's going to be out there first day. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, other than that, you probably noticed more than I did with that kind of stuff because I don't know names very well. But you said something about the Watchmen.
Yeah, one of the graphic designers for the Watchmen comics, which I mean, the movie and the comics. They brought him. I forget names. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, me too.
But he's going to be writing the comic book that is going to be coming with the game in the Explorers edition. So that's huge. That's really cool. I forget the other guy they had there as well. I think he's an artist as well. With that, but it's just bringing in these famous people who have a very heavy sci-fi background to kind of give a little bit of depth to the game, I guess, in a sense, like not giving it like a storyline like I was saying, but giving it a little bit of a feel for the game, I guess, which is interesting. But then again too, I know this is kind of bringing this back a little bit, but if they're making a comic book, is it going to be about just random characters, or is it going to be about like characters like we are in the game? So then maybe we could get an idea of what we'd look like in that sense.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really much else to talk about that video. I mean, it was interesting.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, it was.
I really did like the art video a lot more.
The art video was really,
I love
really
their
good.
art. It's amazing. But yeah, if there's anything we missed or anything that was super important in it, let us know on Facebook and yell at us and tell us we suck, and we can mention it on the next episode. I just didn't notice that nothing super. I've seen it like 3 times and nothing really stands out. Mostly just information we already know. I already knew that how the lore was going to work for the most part. So yeah, because Sean's talked about it, but man, we are running really behind.
Yeah, so this is why right now I'm going to push us into our main.
Wait, no, one more thing. I had a post on Facebook before I got home from work, and I promised him I would mention him on the show, so it's happening. Believe it, Tony, I am mentioning you right now. I forgot to do it during the questions things. He says, would you like to see the ability to have a ship like in the Star Trek universe where it's exploration but combat ready, and the ability to have a small cargo area for trading? So like I'm thinking like a big ship. And,
well, I mean, if you're talking like Star Trek, like you're talking the Enterprise, that's a huge ship.
Yeah, but like, and he's like talking about having like a hangar bay in it and stuff like that. So
it's basically like a cargo freighter.
Yeah, that'd be so cool, but at the same time, I wouldn't want it in the game right when it released.
As someone who hasn't really seen Star Trek, if you landed the Enterprise on a planet, how much of the planet would that thing take up? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Think Death Star. Like Death Star? No.
No.
Oh God, no. Sorry, Star Destroyer.
That's a
Star Destroyer.
move.
Yeah,
Star
like,
Destroyer.
maybe,
okay, Star
Holy
Destroyer.
crap, sorry.
Maybe even a little smaller.
Yeah.
Than
Okay, that puts it better.
But you're talking a big. This is housing probably a couple hundred people.
Okay.
In crew.
Yeah.
No, a couple thousand.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that couple
Thousands,
thousands probably. Yeah,
Still
that's
roughly
probably a
Star
good point.
Destroyer.
Duh!
size,
Don't
so-
you know
Yeah,
anything
no.
about Star Trek, Dylan? Yeah, that's interesting. I would like to eventually see bigger ships, and there are going to be big ships in it, but they're not going to be flyable, as far as I'm aware of. Sean's probably lying to us. So maybe we'll see it in a patch or something. I don't think it'll be...
Or at least you won't have access to them in the very early game.
Or
Yeah.
maybe, you can eventually, get a big ship, but then to land on the planet, you have to take one of your little ships out of the big ship and go down to the planet with it.
You hear me clapping?
I enjoy that. That's actually that's
You can
actually
store all your
super
different ships,
cool
like your
idea.
one for
Yeah,
fighting, your one for trading, etc.
And then
That's actually a really interesting idea. I like that a lot.
Tony also says after that, just hope I get mentioned for this. So,
Tony, we love you.
Tony.
We do. We're here for
love
you.
Just please
Tony,
don't get freaked out and leave.
If you do, you are
You
smart.
can't leave,
don't worry.
Tony.
I told you, Tony. I told you I'd do it, and I did. Actually, now that I think about it, the Patreon message didn't have any information other than, he was just talking about Center of the Galaxy stuff that we already talked about, I think. But I just told him I'd shout him out on the show. We already did that. So.
Am I okay to advance the plot then?
Yes, let's
I think
please.
we
We're
get-
running way behind.
Let's kind of jump onto the main.
Okay.
main
On
point.
to the main discussion here. We actually chose to focus on one of our questions that we got on Facebook, right, Ryan?
Yep.
It was from Zach, Z-A-K. Right? Great second episode. Looking forward to the next. I'm sold on this game, but I know a few folks who are less than convinced that Hello Games is even capable in delivering such an amount of variety and uniquely in their worlds. What would be your persuasive argument for this game to a cynic? Do you think hopes are higher than what the game can/will accomplish?
Oh,
This is
boy,
a
here
really
we-
unique perspective of this.
This is
I
a really
like this.
interesting question. This is a really good question.
It's deep.
So now we go to the IGN comment section to troll noobs.
Literally the most. Oh.
If you want to see the most cancerous community you've ever seen, go to the IGN comment section.
You haven't seen the League of Legends.
No,
community.
it gets better. It gets better. Go to the Steam community for No Man's Sky right now.
I'm telling you,
Really?
you have
It's
not.
Steam?
terrible.
You don't know the League of Legends.
Oh my god, I know what I'm doing. tonight.
Regardless.
That's gonna be
There was a post on
Holy
the
cow.
subreddit for like a list of terrible conversations.
Oh my god, that
in
was
the
the
Steam
funniest
community.
thing I've
Did you
ever
read
seen.
that?
Yes.
It was really funny.
funny. Oh my.
Yes, woman's ground.
Yes,
That was
woman's
was
ground.
pretty funny. That was honestly really funny. It's just stuff like that. Just like the memes like that is just too good.
But yeah, then there's people that are like, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" And it's just absurd things, and I'm just like, "Why? Why?"
So,
ugh.
what guns am I going to be starting with? Are there going to be assault rifles, shotguns,
Bazooka.
laser pistols, bazookas, semi-automatic rifle bazookas? Like, what do we got? What am I starting with? What are my loadouts?
So is it
When does
is
the
in
team
Call of
deathmatch?
Duty.
When does my team deathmatch start?
5v5?
My 5v5, No Man's Sky, cage match, team deathmatch.
So is it?
Bye.
I'm dying here. Is it safe to say that some people need to maybe
I think it's safe to say
calm
that
down a little bit?
Yeah, this game isn't going to be for everyone.
Yes.
And I think people are having a hard time understanding that because not every single game is going to be for everyone. It's just how it is. It's just that way. Like everyone's going to have their like. Some people are going to really like just match-based shooters. Like that's how it is. Some people really like MMORPGs. Some people really like just single-player RPGs. I think this game is certain people aren't really doing the research that they need to be. I suppose doing it as everyone does with anything. And I guess learning what they need to about the game and kind of what's going on with it.
I think-
and
I think-
what it's about and what you can do in it.
Right, and I think a lot of those questions or statements from people that are, and then you look at them and you're like, oh my god, that's ridiculous. How could they even think that's a thing in this game? I think those usually come from people that don't even know that space sims are a thing, and they're like, what?
This is just
it's a game in a universe and you can go places. Like that was my first reaction to Elite Dangerous, and I'm like, oh my god.
Who can I shoot and what can I blow up?
It's like, yeah, what are the limits of this game? And I think that's usually the reaction when people have never heard of a space sim before.
Yeah.
So I can understand to a point that there may be a little bit confusion of what this game is about. But
A game without extreme emphasis on combat? What is this?
no,
Yeah. I think that crowd is definitely going to be
highly disappointed.
exactly. I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the this game sucks. Oh my
People
God."
need to manage their expectations for this game. Just calm her down a little bit. And now, don't get me wrong, I will die if this game sucks. My life will be over.
Gee, you don't have a family to live
I think
for.
at this point, from what we've seen, in my opinion, from what I've seen and what I understand about the game and what I understand the game is going to be, I don't think it is going to be bad in any way, shape, or form. Like, if the game is released exactly how it is and with the exact amount of information that we know about, which is all of maybe 10% of what's probably in the game and that we actually understand and know about, I'm going to love this game.
Basically, we know this game is for us.
Exactly.
Because we've done enough research.
100% agree.
Yeah, and we understand that. But some people are just like trying to make it a game that it isn't.
Exactly. And that's, I think, is a big problem. I think there's a difference between having high hopes for something and then having high hopes for something that it's never going to be. Trying to make it something that it isn't and then having high hopes for that thing that it is never going to be and everyone knows that it's never going to be, I think that's rude in its own way.
Right.
I think from what everything Sean has showed us so far, knowing what realistically to expect from that, it can't flop in that sense, because you've already seen the work and the detail that's been put into this, so if you base it upon what you've seen so far,
unless it literally is broken when it comes out, which I really don't think is going to happen.
Another really good indicator for me that I know I'm going to like this game is, I know this kind of sounds silly, but looking at the developer, and I know there's heavy emphasis on the developer, like there's never been before with games, and especially Sean in general. But if you listen to how he talks about the game, how he talks about video games in general, and just how he likes it, this game isn't going to come out where he's unsatisfied. There is going to be, I would highly doubt there to be any graphical glitches, any just continuity things like that.
Do you remember when they released?
I think that it's going to be just really clean.
I don't know if you were on the hype train when this happened. I mean, what hype train? When they released the release month of the game, they said it was coming in June, and they didn't say a date yet. Last E3, they mentioned, it's probably going to come out at the end of this year. But they didn't have a date down, and then they decided that they couldn't get it done to their best of their ability, and they couldn't make it the way they wanted to by the end of the year. So they said that's when later in 2016, early 2016 this year,
gave it an actual date.
They say, okay, it's going to come out in June now because we feel more confident about it.
Yep.
And then even later than that, they said, okay, June 21st, we're ready to go. So I think they have a good perspective on what they're doing when it comes to their game getting finished in time. I agree.
Personally, I know this is it's gonna sound silly, but when a game gets delayed, I'm not I'm a little disappointed that I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but I'm not mad. I'm never mad if a game gets delayed, because that is basically the developer and the company saying, our game is not up to our standards, and we have very high standards for this. We're just not gonna be like, it's okay, we'll fix it later, and then put out an incomplete game. Like, they want this game to come out amazing, and they want to put the time and energy in it. And I think that is a really good indicator of a lot of games, because if you look, track record of games that have been delayed by a year, 2 years, a couple months, things like that, they end up coming out really polished and just really phenomenal games. And they just put the extra effort into it. Yeah, it takes an extra year, couple months, but you're really getting the game you want 100% of the time. Because would you rather wait an extra year and have the best game you've ever played in your entire life, or have it and have that for your entire life, or just be like, no, I need it right now, and then get a game that you're like, that's not amazing, but you get it a year early? I guess that's kind of how I look at it.
You can tell the game's a matter of pride for Sean when he talks about it. It
100%.
is, and I think that there is the good faith enough that this isn't going to be some shoddy product, that he's really willing to sink everything he has into this.
You guys should have seen it. They, like I said, they never released a release date until later. They didn't even release a release month. They just mentioned they'd like to have it done by the end of the year. And so as soon as they said it was coming out in June, you should have seen all the clickbait crappy YouTube channels that are just like, No Man's Sky delayed with 10 question marks at the end of it.
Exclamation point, all caps letters, what? Sean's a racist.
Oh my goodness. You know what's funny is I never used to care, and I never even noticed that stuff. And then ever since No Man's Sky, I've noticed it, and I've unsubscribed to 10 different YouTube channels because I do that.
There's certain channels that actually give me. I hate clickbaiting. It's
terrible.
I understand the point of it, but it's so it appeals to.
It is not good journalism. Can we just say that for the record?
I agree, but it is a.
It makes money. It is not
good shady
journalism.
tactic.
It is a shady tactic that makes money.
But yeah, that was so obnoxious. It got delayed, and I'm like, it did not even get announced.
They don't even know.
Oh, that made me so mad. Okay, so let's go back. Sorry, we haven't actually answered too many of his questions here, or any of them really.
We went over our host
Hey, I'm
too,
talking.
Ryan, I will slap your silly white ass. I swear to God.
Oh, great. Now they know I'm white.
Gee, if you can figure that out from how we sound.
Oh, man, I'm great. So let's talk about if Hello Games is even capable of delivering on this game. Do we think that Hello Games has a good track record?
Yes.
100% yes.
Do we trust Sean and his beautiful beard?
More than I would trust you with our child.
That is...
I agree.
That
agree.
doesn't take too much trust, honestly. That really doesn't. I don't know. We can't rely on that one too much. No, okay, this company has a very minimal track record, granted, and it is a team. I'll refer to it as a team. It's a team of 10 people creating 12 people. Very, very minimal. Then you get your Call of Duty that's released every single year that probably has upwards of a couple thousand people working on it all over the place. This is 10 people that made this entire game, 12 people that have made this entire game. And though that is a very small amount, if just from the little bits and pieces we've seen of them working, these guys are working unbelievable amounts and have so much pride and have put so much effort into this game that just from a ethics standpoint and like a work ethic standpoint, I really think that they have the qualifications to get this game to what they want it to be and what we want it to be. I think they are very capable.
When I heard about this game for the first time, which actually wasn't until not that long ago, actually. I didn't hear about it for a while. I don't know what happened, but as soon as I heard about it, I was on it. I was like, this is the game I want to play. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I heard about it, I was like right away, my dream, you know what my dream job is? To go work at Hello Games.
Well, let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen,
I'll
man.
have my people talk to Sean's people. We'll get it done.
Yeah, get our PR department.
I'm working on it.
I was like, and maybe someday when our community gets really big, I was like, oh, what if we could have Sean Murray on the show, like on Skype or something, and we could have an interview with him. I feel like he might be more available once the game comes out, because right now he's probably not much he can talk about anyway. So maybe we can catch him and have him on the show someday.
Can we all wear Sean Murray beards if we get him on the show?
Yes, please. And I was already thinking of questions to ask him. Like I was going to ask him if he knew there's an erotic fan fiction of him on the subreddit.
Oh my god. Probably the greatest thing I've ever read in my entire... I mean, we can't really read it on it.
I know. I wish we could read it on the show.
I mean, we could, honestly. It's not that
bad. I want to keep the explicit thing.
But it's pretty bad. It's so good. It's so good.
Just go look it up if you're curious.
So bad, it's good.
If you want to feel dirty,
if you want to feel good,
then go read it. Okay, let's go on to the next question.
If you want to talk procedural generation.
Oh, yes. What would be your persuasive argument for this game to a cynic? So let's talk about one of
Well, Ryan, and Dylan too, you both know a lot of complaints against this game.
Procedurally generated.
I played Spore, and that game wasn't that good. You know what was wrong with Spore?
What was wrong with...
Freaking Max was wrong with Spore.
Okay, that is actually true.
Terrible company, and they had this whole idea for the game, and they basically were just like, nope, strip it, and we need it out in a couple months. And so they had to get rid of all the stuff they were working on, and then they had made it community-based, and you know what we saw everywhere? Space dicks.
The best.
Everywhere.
Because
that's all anybody ever made in that game.
And then the game somehow got... It was... Okay, don't get me wrong. First playthrough, super fun. Got to the space stage.
I love
hated it.
I love
That's my least favorite stage.
Screw you.
You
get to the center of the galaxy
it's much more fun in the cellular phase.
You're wrong.
We should talk about the center of the galaxy in that game, how it compares to this one.
Oh, baby.
Because I've been there, and I've seen what happens.
I've seen what happens. Yeah. But then the game got 1,000 times better, and actually... I feel like is played more now than its initial release with a lot of the mods out for it. Exactly. I don't know. It's... I guess what would be your counteract to there probably isn't going to be any variety in the procedural generation. There's probably 10 things. Change it around a couple times. You get
what I say is, I don't like you, you're not my friend, don't talk to me ever again.
That's a rational.
But if I was going to try to not kill them immediately, I'd probably say... I always, when I talk to... my lady Candy at work. That's right, Candy. I'm shouting you out on the show because you're gonna be on it someday. That's right. Anyway, I always because I hyped her up for the game and now she's really excited and she's gonna buy a PS4 for it and everything because she wants to play it so bad.
You're such a salesman.
Okay, true.
Is she aware of what
I used to be a salesman?
weasel you are?
Oh
Your
man.
existence as being a salesman.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
I'm
know.
really good at selling people, like selling things to people.
You make things
like,
sound
ideas.
really, really hype.
So like, the way my favorite part about this game is that it's like. I really do hype up the procedural generation quite a bit. I'm like, you're gonna go to this planet and the developers aren't even gonna know what's there, because every animal is different and every planet has a different ecosystem and different size planets and different, just like everything is crazy, and like I'd always hype it up that way, and then I showed her a trailer and I'm like it shows a little list of everything procedural, and then it starts going through a list of the things that are procedural. And I just explained to her, I'm like, this game created itself, pretty much. The people created the code, and then the game creates itself. And it's just incredible. And then, like, when I explain it to older people, like my parents, I'll explain it like imagine somebody created a universe that you can play. Like, somebody created a real life-size universe that you can put into a computer. And
with limits that make it realistic.
Living creatures in it, and, like, living, and, like... And then I, like, try to make it sound like, ooh, I wonder if there's going to be some moral issues with this game because of the universe inside the game.
And they still
which really isn't going to be
and
like
they still give you vacant stares, like, oh my god, we gave birth to this.
That's how I sell it to them, because they don't know any better.
I can see why you believe that aliens put you in a dumpster when you were a baby.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Honestly, I'm not surprised.
Well, that's what my parents told me. So.
Yeah, well. I think I would go back to the video where it was, I don't remember what IGN video it was, but it was basically Sean talking about how he was going to one of the waypoints in the bottom of the ocean, and his suit ends up basically breaking, and he ends up dying and never seeing what's at that waypoint. And I think for the developers, not knowing what they're going to see every time they essentially change an aspect of the game and reboot the entire universe.
Or just go to a new planet.
Exactly. Like, they don't know what they're going to see, and the fact that they're going into the game have zero clue, and some of the stuff that they see, even the art designers, they're like, how did this even happen? Like, how did this come out to be? Because this is amazing. I don't know. Just a lot of the things and a lot of the careful consideration with those things is just, I don't know, unbelievable.
If it's wowing the creators, that should be enough to wow you.
Exactly. That's a good summary.
Your expectations should not be higher than the people who created it.
Exactly. Right. Like, if they're wowed every time they open up the game,
That's like I said, that's my favorite thing. That's the one thing I'm going to want to do. I'm just going to want to go planet to planet and see the different forms of life.
Just see as much as you can. Yeah, exactly.
Like, anyway, so let's go to his last question, a part of his entire post here. He says, do you think hopes are higher than what the game can/will accomplish? So right away on that.
Didn't we kind of cover that earlier there?
A little bit. I just wanted to go over it in a little more detail. I'm going to be honest here, and I'm going to say, yes, I think the hopes are too high.
Really?
Normally I wouldn't say that, but I've just been like noticing it more and more. Now these are for uneducated people that don't know more things. Not like they didn't get a GED.
Uneducated in the game.
Like they did not do a lot of research. I think those people are
we talking the, like, what guns am I getting kind of people?
Yeah, and there's other people that just like look up one little video and they're like, oh, this game has everything immediately, and they're going to be disappointed. I think they'll still like the game, and I think the game can still appeal to a very, very large audience, despite people thinking that it's kind of niche because it's exploring, and it takes a special kind of person to want to do that. That is not true. Everybody is an explorer, like everybody wants to explore.
Well, you can play the game so many different ways too.
Yeah, and I think that the hopes are a little too high. I'm not thinking that the game's going to disappoint in any way, but some people, it's just like insane what they want this game to be to them. It's like they want it to be their best friend.
If you realistically know what to expect and set your limitations at a moderate level, I don't think it's going to disappoint in any way.
Personally, for me, I think that I think it's going to exceed my hopes and expectations 100%.
Me too.
Because I understand the limits of the game, and I understand what it is about and what the point of it is, like what the point of the game is. And I think, like I said before, we've only seen seeing how what Sean wants to do, because he's a sneaky son of a gun, and he's showing exactly what he just wants to show. Very, very little things that he wants to show. So to me, if we're only seeing just very minimal amount of the game and like what we can possibly do, then I don't know. I just think it's gonna just blow me out of the water because I don't know what to expect. I know so little, but to the I know most of it, but then I know very little. I don't know, man.
Sean has a lot hidden. I think that's really gonna just boost it for what we're expecting and just take it to a new kind of.
I think some people, like myself, are obsessing about this game a little too much, But I think
Confession.
I think generally this game's going to be awesome, and I think
agree.
people are going to love it.
Hopefully.
I have pretty much no doubt in my mind. I'm literally the day the reviews are going to come out, and I hate to do this because I want to play the game before I look at the reviews, just to experience it without any sort of bias. I think I'm going to do that, and then after I'm done played it for a couple hours, I might look at the reviews, see how it looks. I really don't want to care what the reviews say, but I kind of will anyway. I'm curious of what people will think of this game. It sucks, but like it's just the type of culture we live in. Like,
Yeah.
people care about what other people think.
There's never mind. We're gonna get into this later tonight.
Why are you so dumb, Ryan? Is that what it was?
Yeah, actually, that's really along the lines of where that was going.
I should only care about my own opinion. But you know what's going to happen is I'm going to love this game, and I'm going to be like defending it, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be like 6 out of 10 on Metacritic or whatever, and I'm going to be like BS 6 out of 10, and then I'm going to get all mad, you know?
Yeah, I was
We're
gonna
hunting for the bad reviews.
Yeah, it is going to be.
You know,
that.
you're cool when your family gossips behind your back. You're like, whatever, it's cool. But, you know, somebody disses No Man's Sky. It's like, you know, full-on attack mode. Every dirty name you know is coming out.
It's like Borderlands 2 when that came out. I was so into that game, and I found this review by like the Washington Post or something like that.
Why would they?
It was some weird it was some
random.
yeah. And they don't even ever talk about video games, and they're like, yeah, this game was really boring, and like I was playing it with my son, and like the comedy was kind of stupid, and like none of the characters were interesting, and it was just immature, and like they didn't even understand what the game was. Like that's how dumb they were, and I was so mad, and I like just sat there like commenting on it, like you suck at your job. And those types of things really make me bad. Uneducated like journalists that try to sound smart. Oh,
It's almost like what my dad says, Ryan, that I always liked. You're not entitled to your opinion, you're entitled to the educated opinion.
True.
And Ryan's opinion is law, so.
Yes, according
To Ryan.
Oh, wow.
and if you're in any way, you know him in any sense, that's also your law. Then, like, you have to adapt to that. Or... Anyway, we are almost up to the exact same time we were at last
we're really
week.
going over.
So, do you guys have anything
spent
else
a lot of time on questions.
to add, or are we ready to wrap up?
What do you think, buddy?
I think we're ready to wrap up.
All right.
I
We covered everything that we. Well, I think we hit on a lot of good topics.
Yeah,
we went a little bit long, but
sorry
I think
that we kind of started talking fast near the end. We're trying to make up for lost
Trying to cram
time.
everything in here.
Yeah.
I tend to ramble a little bit, which is my fault.
Yeah,
In that sense.
Dylan's a rambler.
I'm a rambler.
So let's wrap things up a little bit. I wanted to thank everyone that's been using the Facebook page, first off. And if you don't know what that is, just go to facebook.com/NoManSkyExplorers, and you guys can post questions or discussion topics. Even you guys that have already done it, if you have... The way I see it is if there's always things that I would like people to talk about, and I'm like, it'd be interesting to hear what this person would think of that, or things that maybe you've never heard talked about, and you're just curious what people think. Like, you're not the only one that's crazy or whatever. Just post it on there, and we'll talk about it. Like, literally, as of now, I have read everything that has come to the Facebook, and we have talked about everything on the show. So don't expect to not be heard, because you will be. So post something on there so we can talk about it next week. Remind everybody that we're on Patreon. If you guys want to support, we do a monthly thing. So if you want to support us, kind of like a subscription, it's right now we just got like a $1 a month subscription. So you guys can spend any amount of money you want that's financially plausible for you guys. So 25 cents is cool with me too. I don't care. Yeah, it's not like we don't super need it. It's just going to be for like some goals, some stretch goals for us, so we can add some new features to the show that will just cost a couple bucks. So, then we got iTunes or the podcast app if you're on your Apple device. Go on there, leave us a review, especially obviously if you're listening on there. That really helps us out. A decent chunk of our listens come from iTunes, so if you guys review us on there, we'll pop up higher when people look up No Man's Sky. Yeah, we're at an average 4.5 review score now, which is awesome. I'd like to keep that to be the minimum, so please give me more 5 stars, or us. So please go on there, leave reviews, please. We always appreciate it, and we'll read those reviews on the show as well. SoundCloud, that's our RSS server, so you can also listen to us on SoundCloud if you don't have iTunes, if you don't have an Apple device. So just go on there. You can follow us on there. And then YouTube.
Hey, that's my domain.
Yeah, I have YouTube Red now, so I've been like downloading podcasts off of YouTube and listening to it because it just works out that way sometimes. So if you guys need an alternative way of listening to us, you can now listen to us on YouTube with a beautiful new logo and all kinds of fancy stuff.
Real nice and fancy. Yeah,
so fancy.
Second Ryan gets that stuff up on SoundCloud and on iTunes. He sends me the links then, and I get the video right up as soon as... I'm going to do my best. I just stayed up super late last night getting both of those videos up and getting the YouTube channel looking all nice and fancy and everything. From what this scrub was doing before, so it's looking all nice and fancy. So I'm gonna be a little more basically the same time that it's going up on SoundCloud, it's going up on YouTube, so you can check us out there as well.
And watch out for our new logo in case you think that we disappeared or something. We just changed our logo, so we're the same people. We're the NMSE. Whoa, acronyms for life.
It looks real clean.
Yeah. Sorry about all the page flipping. We used paper today. We'll probably go.
Like
to
how you
digital.
yelled at me last week for like, okay, you need to never touch the paper. Just have it in front of you. And Ryan's just like just slapping.
The rules apply to everyone but Ryan here.
Exactly. Ryan kind of develops the rules as they go.
Yeah, I do. We might have an interesting guest on next week, and forgot what else I was going to say. Oh, we might even have tease it, a game show next week at the end of as the tail end of our show.
Might be developing games for this.
Yeah, we're thinking of game ideas to have a little bit of fun with No Man's Sky related topics.
That is if we can cut down the time this is already taking.
Well, we'll add it as like an extra.
Oh, extras? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be on next week, so please stay tuned, subscribe, review. I'm trying to think of anything else that you can do. Leave us a like on YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube. That'd be a wonderful. Comment. Leave us comments on there. If you want to ask questions on there too. That's basically anywhere
we check everything.
Anywhere you can write towards us. I mean, slide into our DMs on Twitter. Like I don't care. Like just send us stuff. That is what we want.
We will find it and we will talk about it.
They are not unhealthily obsessed at all with us.
Nope.
We want, once again, it's a community podcast, so get involved.
It's about the community, exactly.
So tell your friends, please, so we can get a little larger. But other than that, we're all good.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Why do you have to do that? Anyway.
I was just saying a little larger. I think
a little larger, not too large.
Largest you've ever seen.
We're here. We're gonna be so.
All
big.
right, we're just gonna wrap it up now before they go off on their own new tangent. Thank you so much for listening and putting up with everything.
Yes. Thank you for listening to our third ever podcast ever.
And tune in next week, and you'll hear the first ever fourth podcast.
Possibly, maybe it'll be the second ever fourth podcast. Okay. Anyway,
good lord,
you're painful.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for dealing with us. It was fun. So please leave us some stuff and have a good rest of your week. Adios.
See you guys.
Bye.